in-depth network for all of the fundings that have been made available to me. So I'm going to conclude now. And the conclusions are that societal problems are multidimensional. The problems, the challenges we have as human beings and as societies are very many, multidimensional and interrelated. And solving these problems will involve people, researchers from multiple disciplines. Like I said, being multidimensional would require multidisciplines in addressing these challenges. Hence, there is increasing emphasis on doing multidisciplinary research. Therefore, multidisciplinary research can and should be used for nation building. And to encourage this approach, there is abundance of funds that have been made available through grants writing in order to collaborate and do multidisciplinary research. CUMSA members can access these grants and contribute to nation building. No matter how small the grant is, students can access with a travel grant, a research grant, or training grant. And that will make your study very easy for you. And then whenever you do your research, try to get it published through your mentors and supervisors. When you publish an article and it's in the public domain, somehow some policymakers may use it to inform their policies. And when you do that, and when that happens, you are contributing to nation building. Nation building is not the exclusive reserve of politicians, people in the academics, students. We all have a role to play in nation building through research, through doing multidisciplinary research. I want to thank you all for having me on this CUMSA webinar. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. In fact, when we were talking, I was really wowed at the successful feat you've clinched so far in recent times, especially in the part of research. But I'm sure most of the viewers want to know how you were able to get most of the incomes and funds you had for your trips. The people abroad who sponsor your trips, is there a particular bilateral relationship you have with them, or how do you get those funds for your trips?
Yes, so I'm going to give specific examples. For me to have been appointed a visiting scholar and scientist at the Harvard School of Public Health required me to do an application. So it was advertised. And then I applied. Then I was appointed. And whenever we travel to Boston for meetings, they pay for my trips. So the criterion there is that you have to apply for such opportunities and then you are taken. The same thing also applies in the area of research grants. To get a research grant, you have to write a grant proposal, which you submit to the funding agency, and when they consider it good enough based on the guidelines for scoring, then you are awarded a research grant. The same thing also for travel grant. When you want to travel to make a conference, to do a presentation in a conference, there are certain criteria. Perhaps there's a form that has checklists that you must complete. And like I said, different granting agencies or grant awarding agencies have got their criteria. Like I said, it could be that you are a female and so you're financially vulnerable, or you're a black person, or you come from a country that's low income. And so all of these make you eligible to be selected. So be very strategic in doing your applications. Study the guidelines, know where you fit in the best or the most, then apply, and by God's grace you get it.
Wow. So we can try to make an analogy or to decipher saying the lack of information within academic sphere has been able to limit students or other people to get the research grants or to get funding for, let's say, travel and research?
Absolutely.
So do you think we should increase the level of information about research within our sphere?
I agree with you. That is already happening for postgraduate studies.
Okay.
So we have the Directorate of Research, the University of Calabar, but the emphasis is more about postgraduate research, not undergraduate. So maybe then the CUMSA, Calabar University Medical Students Association, can do more to approach the Directorate of Research, University of Calabar, so that they can seek opportunities where medical students, in fact not just medical students, undergraduates, can apply for certain scholarships like the Shell Petroleum Development Company Scholarship or any other funding agency here in Nigeria or even internationally, so that students, undergraduates, can access these grants.
So you still talked about the funding agencies, and I heard you mention a lot of funding agencies abroad. Don't you have, apart from Shell, don't you have indigenous agencies in Nigeria which can fund? Because you've never talked about you being sponsored by any Nigerian agency.
Yes, I must confess to you that Nigeria as a country is not doing well in the area of funding research. I'll give you an analogy. So, there is Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a low-income country. Ethiopia is a low-income country. Nigeria is a lower middle-income country. In other words, Nigeria is categorized higher than Ethiopia. But Ethiopia spends more money, a fraction of its GDP that it spends on research and development is 0.6.
Wow.
And Nigeria is 0.2. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A low-income country spends 0.6% of its GDP in research and development. And then in a lower middle-income country, so let's just put it this way, a middle-income country that should spend more on research and development spends less than Ethiopia. That's a lower-income country. So our leadership in this country have not understood the importance of research and development, which is the reason why some countries are classified as high-income countries, because they spend a good sum of their GDP in research and development. Also, even in companies, multinational corporations, yes. Apple, HP, they tell you the budget they spend on research and development. It surpasses the budget of many countries in Africa put together, because they know the benefits.
Oh, that's good. And so you, what would you classify in this discourse? Because you talked about the Nigeria moving from the low-income country to a lower middle-income country. Mm-hmm. What are the steps we can take to make us go into the upper-income country like South Africa that can make us even have more agencies that can fund researchers in Nigeria?
It's a multiple of factors, many factors. I'm not an economist, because we are going into the area of economics, which is not my.
So we should do the kind of multidisciplinary with yes. Economists too.
Exactly. You know it all. So in this area that I am deficient in, they will need somebody to make up for that deficiency. But by and large, what qualifies a country or a group of countries to be less financially vulnerable would have to do with their income. For instance, our main source of income in Nigeria, or main source of revenue, is the crude oil.
Crude oil, yeah.
But you and I know that in the past few years, the cost of exporting crude oil has dropped. And we're not diversifying, which is what the APC-led government is trying to do, to diversify its economy. Mm-hmm. If you look at South Africa, they have multiple sources of revenue. They have tourism, they have mining, We're talking of gold, diamond, and all of that. There's tourism. Tourism alone is huge enough. Main source of revenue for South
Africa.
Yes. And then if you look at the dollar naira exchange rate, it's plummeting, it's going down. Then in the parallel market, what you consider the black market, it is $1 to about 360 naira. For South Africa, $1 is about, the last time I checked was $1 to 24 rands. So you can see that the dollar competes more favorably, the South African rands competes more favorably with the dollar than the Nigerian currency. So those are factors that need to be looked at. If we have to be where South Africa is, and we need to do more to diversify economy. We are a consuming nation.
But we never produce.
We don't produce.
That's the problem.
The only thing we produce, we export. Our graduates, well-trained graduates, all are immigrating to the UK, to the US, to Canada, and all of these places, contributing to the growth of these economies, and ours is suffering. So you see, we're not producing. But those countries, like South Africa, they're a producing nation. And if you go back way back, for instance, in the 80s, maybe early 80s or late 70s, when, for instance, $1 was 75 kobo. Nigeria was a producing economy.
Yes.
We had Volkswagen assembly plant in Nigeria. We had Arewa textile.
We had Michelin too.
We had Michelin. We're producing at Bata shoe industry. We had Leventis. We're producing. But we don't do all of this now. So that has affected the exchange.
And affected our income right now.
Exactly. So we need to be a producing nation. If we have to compete favorably with South Africa.
So it means this is a primary role of the government, because only the government can take us from being a consuming nation to a producing nation by way of implementing better policies that can improve our economy.
If our leaders can get it right, then every other thing follows. Okay. And Nigerians are very malleable. Good leadership, Nigerians follow. Bad leadership, Nigerians follow.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm sure one of the questions that will be in the mind of viewers, fellow students like me, is how the different funding agencies abroad that can help them with funding. So can you try to give us some of the agencies, mostly the one abroad, which funded your?
Yes. Like I said, there are bilateral agencies, there are multilateral agencies. The NIH Fogati is a bilateral agency because it receives its funding from the US government. Okay. And so they're able to fund researches and travel grants and all of that. They fund travel trips, research and all of that. And there are many other bilateral agencies, like you say. There's the International Research Development Center in Canada. There's the CDC, Atlanta, Georgia, to fund research. We also have the multilateral. The WHO, like I said, funded my master's degree program. So it's just for one to be able to access the website and search for specific information I've got to do with funding research, funding trips, funding training, as the case may be. Yeah. So I encourage students to, I have some links in my slide, and I encourage students to go look up those links, check them out and see the ones that they are eligible to apply for, and then you can get them.
Okay, we have some questions that has come up through our link, and I'd like to read them out to you. I think this is coming from Daniel Faithful Miebaka, who is joining us right now. We also have Indifon Henry, who has sent some messages across to us, and we have Richard Umana, who has also sent a message to us. So the questions here, and I read: how can medical undergraduates venture into research? What departments give such opportunities?
Wonderful. That's my department. That's my department, the Department of Community Medicine. It is the only department in the Faculty of Medicine. You know, the Faculty of Medicine has got many departments: of Department of Pediatrics, Department of O&G, Surgery, Internal Medicine. Then we have the Pathology, Medical Microbiology, Family Medicine. Community Medicine is the only department in the Faculty of Medicine where students have to do research and write up their project.
Wow.
Yes, so, and some students have really done very well. Like my group did very well. I think they were the best in the class.
Wow.
Yes, my group, I'm not going to mention their names, but they had the highest score in one of the research presentations we did.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. So when that happens, such good work can be published. So the students can work with their mentors or supervisors to publish such articles in peer-reviewed journals. And in certain instances also, those findings can be used to inform or influence policies where there's already a framework that exists.
That's a very important point about research, because I was thinking about it.